Let us travel back in time. The year is 1489. England has just come out of a long and bloody civil war, the Wars of the Roses. A new king sits on the throne. He is Henry VII, the first of the Tudor dynasty. Henry had a problem. He needed to show everyone that he was the rightful and powerful ruler of England. He needed to project an image of stability and wealth after years of chaos. How could he do this? Well, a king needs a grand gesture, something that everyone, from the richest lord to the humblest farmer, could understand. His answer was a magnificent new gold coin. This wasn't just any old coin. Henry VII wanted something truly special, something that screamed power. He called it the Sovereign. The name itself was a stroke of genius. It meant the ruler, the supreme head of state. This coin was designed to be the largest and most valuable coin ever produced in England. It was struck from 23-carat gold and weighed a hefty half a troy ounce. This was a coin made to impress. It was a physical manifestation of the Tudor dynasty's ambition and authority, a golden message sent to his rivals at home and across the sea in Europe. The design of this first sovereign was incredibly symbolic. On one side, you had the king himself, Henry VII, seated on his coronation throne. He was shown in full regalia, holding his orb and sceptre. This was not a subtle image. It was a clear statement. This is your king. He is powerful, and he is in charge. He looked more like a medieval saint than a mere monarch. This imagery was deliberately chosen to connect his rule with divine authority and ancient tradition, making his new dynasty seem both legitimate and destined to last. It was a piece of royal propaganda you could hold in your hand. On the other side, the reverse of the coin was another powerful symbol. It featured the magnificent Tudor rose. This was the new emblem of the Tudor dynasty, cleverly combining the red rose of Lancaster and the white rose of York. This single flower represented the end of the Wars of the Roses and the unification of England under Henry's rule. The rose was placed at the centre of a large shield of the royal arms. Every detail was carefully thought out to reinforce the message of peace, unity, and the strength of the new Tudor crown. This coin wasn't just money, it was a story in gold. The sovereign came and went after the Tudor period. It disappeared for a while, replaced by other gold coins like the Unite and the Guinea. But then, in 1817, it made a spectacular comeback. Britain was a very different place now. It had just defeated Napoleon at Waterloo. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, and Britain was becoming the workshop of the world. The country needed a reliable and standard gold currency to power its growing empire and international trade. The modern sovereign was born out of this necessity, part of a massive reform of the nation's coinage. This new sovereign was a little different from its Tudor ancestor. It was smaller and lighter, made to a strict standard of 22-carat gold, and weighed just under 8 grams. This wasn't a coin just for show, it was designed for hard work. Its most famous feature was a brand new design by a brilliant Italian engraver, Benedetto Pistrucci. On the reverse, instead of a shield or a rose, there was a dramatic scene of St. George on horseback, slaying a dragon. This dynamic and classical image was a sensation. It perfectly captured the triumphant spirit of Britain at the time. The portrait of the monarch on the other side, the obverse, became a tradition. As each new king or queen came to the throne, a new portrait would be created for the sovereign. From George III to George IV, William IV, and then the long, long reign of Queen Victoria. The coin's portrait became a way for people all over the world to see the face of the British monarch. As the British Empire expanded, the sovereign travelled with it. It became the currency of trade from Canada to Australia, from India to South Africa. It was trusted everywhere. The sovereign's reliability was its superpower. Each coin was minted to an exact specification, a precise weight and purity of gold guaranteed by the Royal Mint. This meant a merchant in Hong Kong could accept a sovereign with the same confidence as a shopkeeper in London. Mints were even opened in other parts of the empire, in Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Ottawa and Pretoria, to produce sovereigns locally. They all made the same coin to the same high standard. The sovereign became more than just British money. It was the world's money, the gold standard in practice. For nearly a century, the sovereign was a part of everyday life in Britain. It was the pound in your pocket. You might get one in your pay packet or use it to buy a smart new suit. People trusted it completely. It was real money, a solid piece of gold, not just a promise on a piece of paper. This was the golden age of the sovereign, a time when Britain's economic power was at its peak and its currency was king. It circulated freely, a symbol of prosperity and the stability that the gold standard was supposed to bring to the world economy. But then everything changed with the outbreak of the First World War in 1914. The government needed to pay for the immense cost of the war. It needed gold. The public was encouraged in a great act of patriotism to hand in their gold sovereigns in exchange for paper banknotes. The famous Treasury note was introduced. The slogan was that your country needed the gold. Overnight, the sovereign vanished from circulation. It was the end of an era. The gold that was collected was used to pay for vital war supplies from America and other allies. The sovereign's story in wartime is fascinating. It became a tool of espionage and covert operations. During the Second World War, millions of sovereigns were secretly minted. They were put into emergency kits for pilots and special agents who were dropped behind enemy lines. Why? Because a gold sovereign was a universal currency. It didn't have a country's politics attached to it. It could be used to bribe a guard, buy food, or secure safe passage. It was a small, valuable, and easily hidden tool for survival. A golden key that could unlock doors when all else failed. After the war, the world had changed. Britain was no longer the economic powerhouse it once was, and the gold standard was abandoned. The sovereign never returned to general circulation as money. For a while, it seemed its long and storied journey was over. Production of sovereigns for currency stopped in 1932. The coin that had once been the bedrock of global trade was now a relic of a bygone age. It was a reminder of a time when money was not just a number on a screen, but a beautiful object with real, tangible value you could feel in the palm of your hand. Just when it seemed the sovereign was destined for the history books, it found a new life. In 1957, the Royal Mint started producing sovereigns again. This time, however, they were not for putting in your pocket to spend at the shops. They were for a new and growing market, investors and collectors. The world was still fascinated by gold, and the sovereign was one of the most famous gold coins ever made. People wanted to own a piece of that history, a piece of that reliable gold. The coin's reputation for purity and quality made it a perfect choice for those looking to invest in bullion. The sovereign's fame spread far beyond Britain's shores, especially to America. For American collectors and investors, The sovereign represents a direct link to European history and the legacy of the British Empire. It is seen as a classic and beautiful coin, with the St. George and the dragon design being particularly admired. Its history, spanning over 500 years and connecting so many different monarchs and historical events, makes it incredibly appealing. It's not just an investment in gold, it's an investment in a rich and compelling story that continues to unfold with each new monarch. Today, the sovereign is more popular than ever. The Royal Mint issues new sovereigns every year, including special proof versions for collectors that are struck with incredible care and precision. These coins carry the portrait of the current monarch, just as they always have, continuing a tradition that stretches back to Henry VII. For collectors, building a set of sovereigns from different years and different monarchs is a thrilling challenge. Each coin is a miniature work of art and a tiny piece of history, representing a moment in time for the British monarchy and the world. So, why does the British gold sovereign remain so famous? It's because it is so much more than just a coin. It began as a king's power play, became the engine of a global empire, served as a secret tool in wartime, and has now been reborn as a treasured item for collectors and investors worldwide. It embodies trust, tradition, and artistry. Holding a sovereign is like holding history in your hand. It's a tangible link to the kings, queens, victories, and changes that have shaped our world. That is why this remarkable little disc of gold continues to glitter so brightly.